We're going to show you where the House and Senate Homeland Security Committees are holding their first ever joint session. This is focusing on homegrown terrorism as well. Live pictures now from Capitol Hill. We're going to show you where the House and Senate Homeland Security Committees are holding their first ever joint session. This is focusing on homegrown terrorism as well as the growing number of plots targeting military personnel and bases right inside of our country. Consider this. The feds have thwarted at least 5 terror plots against the military inside this country just in the last 18 months. We have a few of them just to remind you of. Rezwan Firdas, a U.S. citizen from Massachusetts, busted in September for allegedly plotting to attack the Pentagon and the U.S. Capitol. He was the one that was thinking about using those remote-controlled airplanes packed with explosives. Back in July, a U.S. Army private was arrested near Fort Hood, Texas, for plotting a shooting spree and bombing. It's near the same place where Army Major Nidal Hassan is charged with the deadly shooting rampage back in 2009. Also in June, the FBI busted 2 men on terror and firearm charges in connection with the plot to attack a Seattle military processing center. That's just a few of these that are being discussed today. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is live in Washington with more. Catherine?
Well, thank you, Jenna, and good morning. Citing the Congressional Research Service, lawmakers testifying that since 2001, there have actually been 33 alleged plots against the U.S. military domestically, and 70% have occurred since June of 2009, representing a significant spike.
American service members and their families are increasingly in the terrorist scope, and not just overseas in traditional war settings, so that the premise of this hearing, this joint hearing, is not theoretical. It is based on fact.
And from both sides of the aisle, senior lawmakers called on the Obama administration to recognize that you can't talk about the threat without talking about religion.
Our government has to recognize at some point who the enemy is and call it by its exact name. The enemy is not a vague catch-all of violent extremism, but a specific violent Islamist extremism.
And a short time ago, Senator Collins explained that a recent letter from the Defense Department about the Fort Hood case said the threat was being framed in the context of workplace violence, Jenna.
And just thinking about what Senator Lieberman just said about it not being theoretical, it's also very personal, of course, to the families affected by these plots. One specifically, the father of Private William Long, his son was shot dead outside a recruitment center in Arkansas. That's Private William Long, who was shot dead. Did he have anything to say today?
Well, we haven't heard from Darius Long yet, but this is one of the most striking cases. It was in the summer of 2009, and it's described by counterterrorism officials as really the first attack by al-Qaeda in Yemen inside the United States. There you see Private William Long. He was shot outside that recruitment center by an American convert to Islam by the name of Carlos Bledsoe. And on that morning, in fact, 2 people were injured. Long was killed, and a second man was injured in that attack. And we're waiting to hear from the father of William Long, and we have a quote from his prepared testimony, and it reads in part, if you can just pull it up. My faith in government is diminished. It invents euphemisms. Little Rock is a drive-by, and Fort Hood is just workplace violence. The truth is being denied. So what we have today really is a landmark hearing involving both of these committees in a joint session. We're hearing from senior Defense Department officials, and then we're also hearing this very personal narrative by those who have lost somebody in these attacks. Jenna.
We'll continue to keep our viewers updated on all of this, Catherine. Thank you.